Good Yontif. I wish we could be together physically, but I'm grateful, very grateful that we're together in this form. Friends, all my life I have been searching for sources of strength and hope. Sometimes they've come easily from a text or lecture, a song or prayer. Sometimes they're elusive, hidden in the crevices of my psyche, requiring searches that stress my soul. This past year, I've been searching for those resources more than ever, like many of you. My needs seem more intense. They last longer and bore more deeply into my soul. Resolution has been harder to come by. At least two of my struggles are clearly existential. And what do I mean by existential? There seems to be much more at stake these days. More danger lurking, greater anxiety hanging over us. The very existence of what I love seems to be at risk. And what is it that I love that seems at risk? For a short period, it was our beloved synagogue. And for an extended time, it has been the viability of the Republic, this still fragile American experiment in democracy which is teetering on the precipice of history. And since early March, my challenge, like yours, has been around the fragility of life itself. My life, my family's life, and your lives seem more vulnerable than ever. Does it get any more existential than this? So where do we find our strength this year, and where do we look for hope? As we approach Yizkor, I look for direction from those who came before me, from grandparents who struggled to eke out a livelihood and faced deadly anti-Semitism in Europe. Legend has it that my great-great-grandfather, his wife and daughter, were murdered in his tavern by drunken Cossacks. But through all of it, many of our family, yours and mine, were courageous and they were adaptive. They made the hazardous journey west, settling in strange towns and learning new ways. You and I, we carry their DNA around in our bodies. In Yiddish, we call it yichus. Yichus is that Jewish spiritual legacy from which we draw strength. I need to remember those who came before me. I need to reach back and be strong like they were strong. I need to adapt to new circumstances like they did big time. The Torah and the Talmud are full of women and men who were masters of adaptation. That's really how we survived. As we approach Yizkor, I draw hope from my father, who died prematurely when I was 24. His moral compass was the most reliable moral compass I have ever known. As a leader of the Anti-Defamation League and as a moral voice in the segregated South, Jim Crow times, he taught me that as long as Jewish values are at the foundation of my life, and as long as I act on those values, hope will conquer despair and peace will ultimately win out over strife. As I approach Yizkor, I draw strength from my mother, who lived to 95, a very encouraging number, a woman whom many of you knew. When my father died, she reinvented herself. She transitioned from a highly dependent soul to a no-nonsense, pragmatic woman who knew how to get things done for herself and for others. At age 87, she moved to Westfield, where she demonstrated her ability to adapt to new circumstances. She showed me and some of you that resilience keeps us vital, that persistence keeps us on track, and that being street smart keeps us more secure. Friends, I offer these examples not to engage in nostalgia, but to encourage you to think of your parents, your grandparents, teachers, friends, who are or were courageous, adaptive, highly moral, and resilient. I pause for a moment now and ask you to consider the lessons of their lives. Consider what you have learned and can still learn. Learn from them as you face today's challenges. And before I conclude, let me bring you up to date on my 3 struggles. First, our cherished synagogue. What a difference a year makes. What a difference a wise rabbinic search committee makes. What a difference our new senior rabbi and the team he is assembling makes. What a difference each of you has made, and I know will continue to make. I welcome 5781, assured that the future of Temple Emanu-El is in very good hands. My second struggle concerns the future of our republic. No matter what your political inclination, I suspect you will agree with me that our nation confronts daunting challenges. Systemic racism, polarization, threats to our constitutional democracy, income inequality, a broken healthcare system, and global warming. My father taught me, as many of your parents taught you, that the only thing it takes for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. Please, my friends, please make sure that you are not one of those who does nothing. And I still believe, as he taught, in the inherent goodness of most, not all, but the inherent goodness of most people. It's going to take each one of us to roll up our sleeves to support organizations that effectively address these challenges, to vote wisely, and discover ways to make a difference. And finally, there is this third struggle, the pandemic. What have your family, your teachers, your Judaism taught you to deal with that? I let you think about that for a moment. For me, my mother revered science. She taught me that medical science and healthcare workers and frontline workers must be respected. Our parents in our Jewish faith taught us to look out for each other, especially family, but also for the stranger, the sick, and the needy, for those who are hungry, and for those who cannot find their voice. Our parents and grandparents taught us to take charge of our lives, to make smart decisions, and help others do the same. If you are watching this with someone who is in your bubble, I invite you to clasp their hands and let your respective strength travel between you now. And if you are alone, I invite you to close your eyes and embrace loved ones or the Torah across time and space. And finally, I invite you to draw strength and wisdom from one another, near and far. Strength from those who are with us, and wisdom from those who are beyond us.